1506J and 160402 definition for commercial. The proposed ordinance is adopted, if adopted, would require commercial use in the town of this to allow density. Please go ahead, Doug.
I think you're all aware that back in 2007-ish, the council adopted an ordinance that in the Jordanelle, commercial would not count against their density numbers. So all the numbers I showed on the chart earlier, for example, the Point in the Hollows, if they had 191 ERUs on the hollows that were all commercial, they could do as many as they could fit on there and it would not count. They could do 500 ERUs on there and they would not count.
On commercial?
If it were commercial.
Plus their 190.
Yeah. Well, the 190 wouldn't really, it'd be irrelevant because if it was commercial, it didn't matter.
And so we talked about this January 18th. So kind of explain to us the timeline. What that to us?
What happened is we took throughout the county, we took a number of ordinances that were taking out plan performance developments, lowering the densities on every zone in the county, taking things all back to base density. I inadvertently included this in that portion of the code. However, this is a JSPA issue and a JBOZ issue, so it had to go back to the Planning Commission. I guess this is a ratification of what you previously saw and approved, because it hadn't been to the JSPA Planning Commission, if that makes sense. Okay. So, since 2007-ish, as we've been going through and working with developers, we found that typically all they're doing is using this as a tool to flip their property and essentially market it as saying there's unlimited commercial on this, and whatever you can fit on the site you can do. It's created problems for us on traffic planning, on sewer water planning, on a number of issues. So it was recommended that this go away. These are the findings: that the three commercial aspect of the code makes planning of roads, traffic, and infrastructure difficult. Number two, the target densities in the JSPA and densities in the JBOZ were done in 1997 and 2002 respectively as part of a master plan that contemplated counting commercial densities. So the original RSPA and the JSPA all included commercial in those densities. I mean, the 880 units on Deer Cove all envisioned commercial density to count. And so that was just added gravy there. Density in the two areas are sufficient to allow development in compliance with the master plans, including commercial in appropriate places. And the last one, this code change would not preclude a developer from applying for a rezone and amendments through the typical process done elsewhere in the county. So if they want to add commercial to their neighborhood plan, they come through and they have to go through the legislative process to amend their master plan, just like anyone else would have to do as far as a rezone. So here was the motion by the JSPA Planning Commission. Commissioner Redkey made a motion to approve and include a clarification to 160402 commercial use and the chart that shows ERUs to add a clarification for ERU numbers. So that's what that is in the yellow. The chart wasn't in the code that they had, so this is the chart from our current code. What's been added back is this commercial. And so this is the old ERU calculation for the commercial before it was taken out in 2007.
Can I ask one question on there real quick? It's only 0.86 ERUs for 2,000 square feet, and we're talking about traffic impacts. You usually have one parking stall for every what is our kind of code? 400?
5 per thousand.
5 per thousand, so 1 per 200. So that would be 10 parking stalls that would be needed for 0.86 ERUs. We're going to have way more traffic impact than 0.86 ERUs. You know what I'm getting at that. Our traffic impact is way greater than 0.86 ERUs.
I think that number was originally calculated based on sewer and water impacts, just like all the numbers. And so I think that's what it's been tied to. I don't know if we need to get away from that or what.
Not better than what it was, because you could have 200,000 up there and no.
Yeah, but that 2,000 now is going to have 10. Those 2,000 square feet will have 10 vehicles and potentially 20 to 40 trips per day for only accounting for .8R6. I don't know that it's accounting correctly when we traffic models.
Or it could be a small commercial with no vehicles, blocking traffic.
Yeah, and that was probably how it was originally assumed.
It'd be a 40,000 square foot warehouse with 3 employees.
I doubt that can happen in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, maybe it's fine. It seemed like it was really.
Yeah, I don't know what we do if we based it on something different than the sewer water numbers, because everything else is based on sewer water.
So when we model, I guess the question would be is when we, with the development agreements and stuff in the future, when we model the traffic, I assume it would take into effect not just that .86.
Yeah, in fact, the traffic plan that we've got is a living, breathing document. If a project comes in and has a certain number of VRUs, if they go above a level service C or below a level service C, then upgrades are going to start being required. So that's all calculated into it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is an ordinance, so is this first reading tonight, public hearing and first reading?
You've discussed it before, but whatever you want to do. Or the ratification, I don't know if we need to do another reading since we passed it in January.
Well, did we pass all of these pieces, were all those all part of it?
Well, the chart's new, because we added that chart in. Right there.
How come I have 2 copies of this, but they don't exactly match up with that?
That was what went to the JSPA. The JSPA in their motion said, we think you need to improve this chart, and they were right.
The second one was what went to them. The other one that refers in the minutes that this, where did I read that? This was approved by Wasatch County Planning, and this went to them too.
No, it wouldn't have. No, it did for the JBOZ, I'm sorry.
The item was recommended for approval by the Wasatch County Planning Commission. It's the last item on June 8th of 17.
Yeah, where we've got 2 planning commissions, if it's out of the JSPA, then the Valley Planning Commission.
Some of this is out of the JSPA.
Yeah, the JBOZ has it in it as well.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll open this up for public hearing. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak to this?
And I won't be long this time. I have the same comment as I did in my first presentation, and which we'll elaborate on number 3. But I have a question. You may or not be aware that there is a potential buyer doing due diligence on the lodge at the Stillwater. Does the Stillwater still, will that be grandfathered under the 2008 arrangement? That it can, it will, the proposal is it will be a condo hotel, which it always was. And so will that commercial activity be covered by this, or is it grandfathered?
Stillwater Lodge Phase 2 has a recorded condo plat, so they're fully vested.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and council, back to you. Do we have an ordinance number on this, Michelle?
I don't think
It's got on here 17-XX because we didn't know what would it be.
It'd just be 1711.
17. Okay, this is ordinance 17.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve this ordinance 1711. It's amending Title 16 of the Wasatch County Code as stated in Chapter 16.41. And move it. We don't really need to take it to a second reading. I look at the thing. We'll just approve it. Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this ordinance as it's listed, and a second. No second reading. This is our final reading. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Item number 3. An ordinance of Wasatch County amending Title 16.41 of the Wasatch County Code, adding clarification and a process for annexations of property into the Jordanelle specially planned area. and clarifying the authority of the JSPA Planning Commission and defining what properties are not part of the JSPA boundary, and amending to develop the flow chart in the code below section 8.10.9, providing an effective date. So,
There are three parts to this amendment. One would be the annexation of properties into the JSPA. If you recall that discussion that we had quite a while back, that was brought up by Mr. Kozakowski. The second would be the JSPA process chart, and the third would be the Jordanelle Planning Commission and how they are defined. When this went to the JSPA Planning Commission, they continued the annexation discussion of this amendment. So that was continued. They had questions about, the way it was written is if a project like Star Harbor Estates came in that has platted lots that was vested under the JBOZ, you'd have to have 100% sign off by all the property owners within Star Harbor to be able to annex into the JSPA. The Planning Commission wanted the Attorney's Office to look into whether that's the right number or whether it's 2/3 or something less than 100%. And, you know, that took away some of the vested rights of that, of a project that's been platted and recorded. So that is not moving forward tonight, obviously.
so you're saying item number 2 is continued?
Well, it's a portion of this code section. So there were three, oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
It's item
The
2 on
annexation
here.
process, yeah.
So that's not, but whatever we do with this, that's not part of it, that'll come back later.
That'll come back to the JSPA Planning Commission.
Okay, and any other part taken out of the...
So the code amendment that went forward to the county council is the JSPA Planning Commission establishment, which basically says, as you can see there is hereby established a land use authority. Planning Commission was struck out. The Jordanelle Specially Planned Area, JSPA, called the Jordanelle Specially Planned Area Plan Commission, aka JSPA PC, consisting of 5 regular members and 2 alternates. All regular members of the committee shall be established as per section 8.1 of the Jordanelle Specially Planned Area Guidelines. JSPA PC is not the countywide planning commission as used under Utah Code annotated 1727A30, but a land use authority as used under Utah Code annotated 1727A103 as amended. So these are all changes that we've done in conjunction with the legal department. Under subsection D, it says the JSPA Planning Commission will recommend changes to the JSPA code will be heard by the Wasatch County Planning Commission as well and forwarded to the county council. And then these changes here, determine any matters referred to the Planning Commission in Title 16 to the JSPA overlay area for developments or properties in the JSPA specifically. And the JSPA PC shall not have power to recommend changes to the general plan or amend land use regulations unless the matter is also heard by the Wasatch County Planning Commission prior to the matter being forwarded to the county council. And it has term of office and it has planning commission procedures. And that's it until the chart. So are there any questions on any of that?
Okay, I assume, Michelle, this would be 1712. And do we need a second hearing on this? We haven't done anything.
You haven't seen this.
So this would probably be considered the first hearing. While they're discussing that can come. If there are no comments, other comments or questions from the council, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for this item. Any members of the public?
I guess I'm the member of the public again. I apologize for that.
You apologize to your member of the public?
That I'm the only one.
Oh, okay.
And again, the reason why is because here is something that affects my community. I want to establish this because I'm going to start using this phrase from now on, and I'll give you that paper. I was going to write it on the chalkboard, but I figured that wouldn't go over very well. I'm a community. I'm not a colony. And as a community, my community members, which I'm one of them, have the right to be noticed properly when you're making important decisions like this. Right? Just don't know how loudly or how long, but I'll be saying that at least for the next 1 year. Jordanelle is a community or colony. That's a pretty good catchphrase for somebody who might run for office from my community. We're going to keep that in mind. Establishment of the Planning Commission members, or the appointment. You appoint those commissioners. That's written in Title 16, Appendix A, I believe it is. For that meeting on the 8th, 2 of the members' terms have expired for more than, and I have to think about this, approximately 8 months. I was told, or I overheard, that they were reappointed in the hallway there by Mike Davis, and therefore they could continue. And yet that's coming before you tonight. Now, we got the cart before the horse. I don't know whether he believes that he has permission to go ahead and reappoint people without you voting, or whether you have to vote on it. It'd be very interesting to hear that. I'll plan to stay tonight as long as I'm capable of. But I do not believe that you had full commission there. And I quoted the Supreme Court case where if you don't have valid commissioners, you don't have valid decisions. Even more important than that, because I realized that, if it came to you, that you would take the recommendation of your staff. So, that may be a new case. However, we got the cart before the horse. However, it was just stated that this planning commission is a land use authority. You just made a decision in the last few weeks on land use authorities on combining lots, that you will no longer be the decision maker, that you're out of that loop, because the countywide planning commission is the land use authority for combining lots. And it was your judgment, which I agree with, that you don't need to be involved in that. So the appeals of that go to the Board of Adjustment. Am I correct? I keep getting the equalization adjustment. You're out of that loop. So for this planning commission, if they're the land use authority, and that was done for a reason, which I'll explain, what are they the final authority on, and why are you here discussing this if you're not in the loop? So I would appreciate, and again, I offer the services of, have a meeting between Kit and her counsel and your counsel, it's spelled C-E-L or S-E-L, is that please explain to us what they're the land use authority for. Now, the reason why it was done, in my opinion and in the opinion of others, is that there's no qualification under state law as to who can be a land use authority. So they don't have to be taxpayers in Wasatch County. They don't even have to be residents of the state. They can be, whatever is needed to make that decision. Okay? But this is a planning commission. You're calling them a planning commission. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either they're a planning commission or they're a land use authority. If they're a land use authority, you're not needed. You've given away your authority, and it's only them and the Board of Adjustment. And we've made this legal case. Now, if you dispute our analysis, our legal analysis, again, we are available to talk about that. But it goes on deaf ears. So I think this is very premature to go forward with this, because it can be litigated later by somebody that why are you in the loop if they're the land use authority? Now, if I'm incorrect on something like that, please correct me. But again, my counsel isn't here. She had her choice either to worship the Lord or to pay homage to, you know, the rulers of this county, and she made the decision. So I would, you know, I'm not the expert here on this, but you know, it's written in the comments that you have, and I espouse that comment right now. So that's it.
Can I respond?
Yes, you may.
It's my understanding that the planning commission and the JSPA, or whatever we call it up there, are a recommending body only. Now, on the planning commission, on the combining the lots, the legislative body could make a determination on them. One function with no density giving is probably reducing density, that we allow them to make that determination.
Okay. Yeah.
So everything comes back to the legislative body to make the determination.
Not on combining lots.
Not on combining lots.
Okay, but they were the land use authority.
If we designate that ability to them,
Right.
that's all we've designated to.
Right, but that's an example of designating, delegating your authority as a land use authority.
Yeah, but we're not. That was the only one item that I'm aware of. Now, if it's a conditional use, we've designated that to the planning staff.
In some situations, in other situations, it's the planning commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you make those decisions,
Yes.
and that's
And I think
that's your choice.
That's our choice and our right to make that determination.
So what are they in charge of? What are they the land use authority for on the JSPA?
They're making recommendations to this body.
But that's not the definition, the state's definition of a land use authority. It's, well, again, I offer my counsel to meet with your counsel so they can set me straight.
JSPA Planning Commission was a land use authority for that area.
Yeah. That's been the intention all along, is that they're the land use authority, and like you said, the planning commission is the land use authority on some situations. I'm the land use authority on some situations, and you're the land use authority on density approvals, code amendments, general plan amendments. So it depends on what's delegated to.
And that's correct. And that's
When you say
correct.
planning commission, depending on where it is, it might be the JSPA planning or the county planning, right?
Yeah, but I think
Yeah,
we're talking about semantics here. The Valley Planning Commission is the land use authority on some specific issues.
Yeah, that's right.
Conditional uses and other things are recommendations. Same
So,
with JSPA.
but they make that final decision and it can be appealed to the Board of Adjustment. Is that correct? They're the land use authority. Now, we're not talking about the JSPA here, but all those other items, you have delegated that authority. And so therefore, the chain of authority is they make the decision. If the applicant doesn't like the decision, it goes to the Board of Adjustment. We don't have that here. The land use authority is not an advisory committee. It has responsibilities. Now, the solution to all this, and I've offered, and I talked to our two at-large councilmen about this in the past, is make them what they were originally drafted for. Your legislation drafted them as being the design recommendation committee. And then it got rewritten somewhere along the line, and we garbled in the planning commission with it. And the planning commission is where the public actually gets to, to see what's going on. They get to keep up with what's going on in the county. I mean, the fact that I'm the only public who lives up there that's here tonight shows you how we fail the community. So,
What are some of the things that we delegated to the JSPA Planning Commission?
Conditional uses is one. I think everything else is a recommending issue to the council.
I wonder if we can have this discussion with their attorney's office at another time.
yes, please.
We really appreciate your comments and your enthusiasm and your involvement. I mean, we don't get this from most of the public, and it's refreshing to see that. But is there a reason why we can't sit down with him in another meeting and visit about these items?
We would appreciate that.
Let me just say one thing. We've been advised by our legal department, Wasatch County Attorney's Office, that they see things a little differently than you. And that's why we go forward taking their counsel. So I would suggest that, this is a public hearing, and all these items are for these specific items, but in order to get somewhere tonight, I think we ought to sit down with our attorney's office and with you and your wife, and go over these things and see if we can come to, understand both sides.
Yes, and I would appreciate that. That's all I've asked for here, because we see the danger as being real to you. Really, and we would like to see these developments go forward in an orderly fashion, and that's sincere. And I hope you view it that way. That's the way that we've acted for the last 3 or 4 years on the Jordanelle. But I would appreciate if you vote that way. Just let us know when. Just not during the solar eclipse.
Well, we don't meet on Monday. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kozakowski. Any other members of the public that would like to make a statement for this? Mr. Smith?
Council reminded me that where this is part of Title 16, I cannot recall, I don't think this has been to the Valley Planning Commission. So if you want to consider this as a first reading, and maybe we take it back to you when we have the other portion of it solved, I don't know. But I need to look and make sure that if it has been to the Valley Planning Commission, then you're good, but if not, we need to take it to them.
So if we consider this a first reading and then they review it, it could come back to us, they might make changes, they might not.
Yeah.
We could then, in a second reading, accept those changes or move it on to a third reading, or if we chose to. Do you understand that, Council?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing portion of this. And Council, we're back to you.
I'd make a motion that we move this ordinance to the, to have this be its first reading and move it to its second reading after it has been to the Wasatch County Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
Everybody understand the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll vote yes.
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 Yes.